right, my friends. Hello, how are you? Let's make some micro interaction animation, shall we? We have our micro interaction hamburger to back Illustrator file, right? We've opened that up in Illustrator and we've seen that I have separated the elements onto two layers, okay? But if I bring this in, what I'll want to do is change it to composition, okay? And then footage dimension, that's fine. And what you'll see when your computer decides to think, we have a full-on hamburger menu comp. So if I double-click that, our background color is black, right? So that doesn't help us. So composition settings, and just change that to something you can see. And now you'll see we have both of our layers, okay? So, excuse me, what I'd like to do right off the top, before I do anything else, is go into my layers, right? So all phone parts in this case. And then I'm finding out exactly where that hamburger menu should be, right? We have the design, so we know where it should be. And what I'm going to do is take that hamburger or micro interaction hamburger to back comp and just bring it right in, okay? I'll just turn these off so they don't distract us. All right, and I can change the color too, just so I know like really easily what I'm looking at. And you can see here it plunks right in the middle, depending on what size you designed it at, right? 250 by 250, and we should be good. So I'll shoot that over into where it should be. And this is where having those originals is very helpful, because then you're not changing your client's designs, and that's a no-no. All right, so I have it basically in there. It's starting at the beginning of my animation. And I want the same, so we've done the tap and then the flyout menu. So I want some kind of resulting micro interaction animation, right? So this is where having our hamburger menu is a perfect sample for that, okay? So I'm gonna find out exactly where I should be. So probably, you can see this tap kind of is just over halfway done at this point. So I'm going to go right in here. You'll see out in my main comp that this is at 24 frames. Okay, so if I go in here, you'll see still it's at the exact same time. Okay, so that's one of the benefits going back and forth here. All right, so now I have to decide, okay, I'm going to maybe make a marker so I know exactly I can move around and I want, you know, to point this part out. So I'm going to hit star, get my little keyboard thing here and show you. Is it going to work? No, yeah, just didn't want to show up on screen. I'm hitting star over here in the on the number pad, okay? And what that does, because I didn't have anything selected, it makes a marker up here on the timeline. If you have something selected, it makes it there. Anyway, now I know that that's there and I can go and do whatever I need to do. So we know that it's going to start as the hamburger, right? So I can just take this back and I can hold down shift and it'll snap right to that point. So that's quite helpful. Okay, so I'll just get that out of the way. And now what I want to do is probably around this time, I'm going to zoom in with my plus. Oh, that's kind of funny. It's not showing me my plus here, but hit the plus or minus to zoom in or out. Okay, and I'll just turn off the back menu for now because I don't need that at all yet. So what I'm going to do is have this start its animation at this point. So I need a R for rotation, and I'll make a keyframe. And really that's it. I could do maybe some scaling or add some other stuff, but I'll just keep it simple in this case, okay? And I'll go ahead, however many frames, page down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. let's make it nice and long for now, okay? And I'll just scrub this. Okay, so I guess it's going clockwise. Should it go clockwise? Yeah, we'll go clockwise, and we'll just go 180 degrees, okay? Down arrow, up arrow. You can just click in here and just go up, down for those fine points, okay? So yeah, basically just whoop. It's too slow, but it'll work for us, right? Maybe it'll help if I hit the, make these ease. So F9 on my keyboard, or keyframe assistant ease. All right. And so that should look a little better. Whoop, yeah, a little better. Good, I'm liking it. Maybe bring that one in just a little more, because I know that that's too slow for one of these little widgets. That feels good. All right. So now this is where the fun part comes in. All I have to do, I'm going to turn on my arrow, and if I turn off my hamburger, you can see it's already pointing backwards. So we'll see in a second, but basically what I want to do is just take these keyframes, copy them, Control-Command-C, okay, and go up here and Control-Command-V to paste. And if I hit U now, our Uber key, you'll see that now I've just pasted that same animation. I'll turn back on my hamburger, and now you'll see that, yeah, they're basically doing the same thing. So what I need to do now is, this is the trickery. This is where the little trickery comes in. I'm gonna just zoom in a little more. All I need to do is take the start of my back menu and make it the same as the end of my hamburger menu. And I will bring this guy back in. Alt and right square bracket, okay? Will trim this, okay? Alt and right square bracket, trim. I don't want them to be overlapped, so maybe I'll just have a look there. And we'll see now that we have a really straightforward shape morph, but really all it is a cut on action. If you know any filmmaking language, it's really just a cut on action, and our brains are just okay with it because the animation is there, and it's like, okay, yeah, it changed. I don't care how it changed, but it changed. All right, so really straightforward to get that set up, but I could add a little bit more nuance to this, right? Remember I mentioned how I had the little arrowheads animating a little bit. So to do that, you can see right here that I don't I have no access to the arrowheads, right? I only have a single frame or a single image here, and that's because Illustrator documents don't work perfectly with After Effects. What we need to do is change them into something that After Effects can read, and that is by creating. So I've right-clicked, create shapes from vector layer. Okay. And now what happens is you'll see that that original file is still there. Everything's still fine with it, but it's been turned off. So I can always go back, which is great. And it's created a new shape layer, and we know it's a shape layer by that star. So now if I zoom, I go into this layer, you see if I hit U, still, oops, not one too many times. You see my rotation stuff, everything's the same, right? But now you'll see 1, 2, 3. I can actually go in here and go into the contents, and you'll see group 1 is the bottom there, group 2 is the top, and group 3 is the stick. So now what I can do is go in and dive right down deep into my shape layer by going into group 1. I can affect or manipulate the path, so actually have it animating, like maybe even like just like you would change a vector, using this. Like, yeah, I can actually animate this going from one point to another. Obviously, that looks pretty bad, but yeah, like right from here, I could have this thing sort of go like this and like maybe get fat or something. So now it's going to animate and continue to do that. That's not what we want, but you can see how much more we can do with this, right? It's really quite good. Okay, so all I want to do is go dig. I don't want to change my path. I don't care about the fill, but what I want to do is go and do a transform, right? I want to get into the rotation of this. So if I rotate it, you'll see it's in the middle of the shape, so that doesn't help. What I'm going to do is go right up to the top here and hit the pan behind / anchor point tool. Okay. Use my mouse wheel to zoom in, spacebar to move around, and I'll just grab this anchor point and put it pretty much where I think it should be. This is where, eyeballing it, I'm looking between these two and and this, and seeing where it is in between the stick two. So now that I've moved that, now I have the freedom to do my animation. So I'll just hit the keyframe for rotation, since that is the end pose, as it were, and I'll just move those away. And yeah, maybe it starts like this. So so when it's gonna switch, it's going to come out. Obviously, we need it to go way faster, right? Maybe it goes too far. Maybe it goes to here. I'll actually move these two around. Okay, so maybe it's going to come out and go a little too far, and then it's going to come back. And maybe I'll move this so that feels good to me. That feels better than the one I did last time. So yeah, now it feels like the rotation is actually flicking these elements out here. So I'll just do the exact same thing to the other one on the other side there. So group, group 2. Go into my transform, zoom in, grab my anchor point tool, go eyeball that, something like that. That's my end pose. This is my gone too far, and this is my all the way in. There you go. So now I have some animation. This needs some keyframes still. I mean some easing. And I could do if you wanted even more, I could come out to the main level here where the rotation is here, and I could do the same thing where, maybe this, I'll copy paste this rotation and I'll come back to this, and maybe this goes too far, just for a little extra. No, it doesn't work because we've used because we've done the other animation. But you can see just that bit of overlapping action, or a bit of secondary action, and kind of follow through in this case, adds a bit of I don't know what. Je ne sais quoi. Okay. So that's your hamburger menu. And what I would do, of course, is, so we have that starting here. I'd go back into my all phone parts and see how it looks. Bloop, perfect, it's coming in. And then we have our tap again at whatever stage. So I would, of course, go right to here, which is at 223. Go back into my Microinteraction here, and I would just repeat what I had done originally. Okay, so or have it go backwards this time, right? So I'm going to take my my back outlines, and this is the rotation. Yeah, I actually don't need to animate that one again. But yeah, I want to take this rotation, copy paste, okay, so that basically nothing happens in between this time, right? And then same thing here. I guess that hamburger has been chopped there. So what I need to do is duplicate. I'm going to show you another very helpful keyboard shortcut, which is duplicate, Control or Command D. So I'm in here, Control Command D. I can pull out and see where this one should be. Yeah, now I can pull this one out completely. I could trim it to exactly where I know that it needs to come back in. And then the same thing with this back outlines. I'll go Alt or Option and right square bracket to trim that layer. So you can see this back one might be giving us, weirding us out a little bit, but that should work. So yeah, basically my back guy here is just on for, you know, however long that flyout menu is out, and then we go back to here. So this is where I'll have to go. I could just copy paste both keyframes, and let's do that just so that I'll show you that workflow. Control C, Control V. And the problem is that this is the same one, right? So what I need to do is reverse these. So right click, keyframe assistant, time reverse keyframes. Okay. And so now it will flip and then stay there that whole time and then flip back. And now I need to do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to, what should I do? I'll bring these guys over because that's the ones I had, and I'll just right click, keyframe assistant, time reverse. And the animation obviously has to be at the same time, and there shouldn't be an overlap. But yeah, so I've done the reverse, you can see here. So it's going clockwise and then it's going counterclockwise. That might be something that your client wants you to do. If they don't, or if you want to have maybe some options, you can see this is my Microinteraction hamburger to back, right? Which is this one here. What I'm going to do is say, change the comp name. So hamburger, what should I call it? Fancy. Okay. And what I can do now is go in here and duplicate again, Control Command D. And for this one, I'll hit enter and call it minimalist. I was going to say boring. Right. So in here now I could go and maybe take out those take out that outline animation, have it go, you know, maybe it just like, maybe we do have the reverse here, and so that's the minimalist. And then maybe fancy is a little more, you know, instead of this going this way, I'll just go to these keyframes. And this started at 180 and went to 0. So maybe this time it'll go to 360, or no, 270 I meant, 270. No, it should be at 360. I was right. Yeah, it goes a full, yeah, so now this one is going to go clockwise. So we're at 180, so I'll do the same thing. We'll go to a full, so 360, and you can see it goes to 1. Oops, and I wasn't on the keyframe there. So yeah, now it's going to go clockwise, and maybe I want a little bit of, you know, more, a little more animation to be fancy. So I'm going to Shift S on this hamburger and just add a little scale so that basically it's going to come up and then go back down to its regular. And so now it's going to go, woo! That feels pretty good. Woo! So you see how we're able to add a little bit of nuance or character pretty easily. I mean, the changing things to shapes is one thing, but with a little scale, or maybe overlap. Maybe now that this is going forward, I want to do that overlap that I mentioned before. So I'm going to grab this rotation keyframe, copy paste, go back to this one, and it's going to go just a little further. Not too much, just a little further. Yeah, that feels good to me. Yeah, especially the back now just feels nice. Has a little more character to it. Maybe this would scale down, and then that would go up. Anyway, the thing is about this stuff, you can do it forever, can't you? You can go down that rabbit hole.